It's 9 o'clock! It's a Saturday! That can only mean one thing. Oh yes, it's time for the Monster Magic Saturday show. Let's do this!
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning. Feel the sun shining for your eyes.
Woohoo! Good morning, people. I hope you've all survived the weather. It's been a bit nasty here, and the river is a little bit choppy. So I'm sorry, don't adjust your sets if you're getting some movements from left to right. That is just how it is, I'm afraid. It's all part of living on a boat. It's all part of the fun. I say fun. But let's get on with the show. This is, of course, the Monster Magic Saturday show. It's time for a review. And first up, it is Australian Aces by Nick Trost. This is actually from his book, one of his books. He's written lots and lots of books, has Nick Trost. Really good card magic books, usually based on subtleties rather than difficult sleights. And this one is from, I think it's his first book, called Subtle Card Creations. It's in there. It's called Australian Aces, and the plot is along the lines of Sidewalk Shuffle. If you don't know Sidewalk Shuffle, check it out. It's a great stage effect, Sidewalk Shuffle. It's sort of a 3-card Monte routine, but it's done with 4 cards. I know, sounds a bit mad. It's the 3-card trick done with 4 cards. You have 3 aces and a black ace. You say, to make it a little bit easier, you're going to put one of the red aces down on the table. You then turn the other 3 cards face down, and you do a little bit of a mix, and your participant tries to follow the black ace. But they can't find it because you show that you have the 3 red aces in your hand and the black ace is on the table. You then repeat that. Once again, you put another red ace down on the table, you do another mix. They try and find the black card. They're wrong because all you've only got the red aces and the black card is on the table. And then you come for the magical third and final phase, where once again you put a red ace on the table, you do the mix, they guess it's on the table, you turn it over to show that that is a red ace and you are holding 3 black aces. The denouement, the surprise of you having all the 3 black aces is terrific. It is a really, really good routine. It's a really strong routine, and it's an easy to do routine. It does require gaff cards, which is what you get in here. Bear with me one second as I open this up. And these are the gaff cards in here. Obviously, I can't show you the gaff necessarily, but if you think along the idea of Skinner's Aces, you wouldn't be far off the mark as to how this trick works. They are printed by the United States Playing Card Company, so it's really good cardstock. They handle as you would expect if you're used to using bicycle cards or tally-hos or anything like that. And the handling is very easy, really. It's just, it's a lot of grips, and it's pretty much just holding out a double. If you can hold out a double, you're absolutely fine. And the gaffs do most of the work for you, provided you remember your choreography. And there's a slight angle issue. You don't really want anyone looking over your shoulder, which is quite common with a lot of tricks. The tutorial is by Javier, and he does an amazing job of running through absolutely everything, from every angle, from every detail, nice close up, few subtleties in there as well. The teaching is exceptional, and it is an exceptionally good routine. The problem really with this is that it is gaff, so you can't hand out the cards at the end, which can be quite awkward. And I only say that because normally there's a clean up, you can ditch them, you can switch them, and that's absolutely fine in normal circumstances. But there are other options out there for routines like the Sidewalk Shuffle that don't require gaffs, that are just as good. And one of them is one of my favorites, which is the Virginia City Shuffle, which I learned back in the 80s when I bought Lake Tahoe card magic from International Magic many, many moons ago. And Louis Falanga has a brilliant routine in here called the Virginia City Shuffle. Very similar in plot, apart from the cards all end up blank. It's really easy to do as well, and requires no gaffs, and is just as astonishing. I think this sort of plot seemed really, really popular in sort of mid to late 80s. Nick Trost has come along a bit late, to sort of 20 years later with this. I can't remember when Subtle Card Creations 1 was published to it. And although it is really good, it works really well, and it is really easy to do, and it is only $8.99. I think this is at $9.99, and if you get this as well, you also get Larry Jennings's Close-Up Illusion. You also get Larry Jennings's Devilish Miracle, which is quite a difficult card trick, but it is a brilliant one. So the problem with this is that although it's a really good trick and it is really great value for money, and I have a very big soft spot for Nick Trost, for sure, it's just that there's better options out there, which makes this a bad buy no matter how good it is, if that makes any sense. It's a bit, I suppose it's a bit like if you had the choice between a Ferrari and a Lamborghini, and they were both the same price, but the Ferrari was faster and more comfortable and had better visibility and road handling and torque and horsepower. I'm not a car guy. I don't know why I went down a car analogy. So that would just make the Lamborghini a really silly buy, wouldn't it? Because you'd get a better car for your money, even though the Lamborghini is much better than most cars, I think. You know what I'm saying. So in short, it is a really good card trick. You get some great gaffs, you get some great teaching. It's easy to do, it's easy to learn. You'll get really good reactions. I just think you'd have more fun with Magic as a hobby if you bought Lake Tahoe Card Magic for £1 more and got a couple of other tricks as well. So there you go. That is Australian Aces by Nick Trost. And now we have Switch Cup by Jérôme Sauloup, and this is the Ash edition. A while ago they brought out a slightly smaller one, which is like a Chinese type ashtray or tray. This is the ashtray edition, and it's a little bit bigger, and this little pup is amazing. What you can do with this is just mind-boggling. It is a way of switching or changing any flat object that you like. But it could be, when I say flat, it can be a folded card, it can be billets, it can be a couple of billets, it can be a pound note, bills, dollar bills, it can be post-it notes, lottery tickets, anything like that. Pieces of information that have been written down. It is really sort of limited by your imagination, and that is why it comes with a 2-hour tutorial. And so the first thing they teach on the tutorial, Jérôme runs through the different handlings for making the switch/change happen. So a switch being just like an invisible change of the object in the ashtray. So if you wanted to do a serial number divination, or for example, they'd class that as a switch. If you wanted to change a card that had a red back and you switch it to one that's got a red back, that would obviously be a visible switch. Both are really easy to do and possible. They run through 3 or 4 different handlings of how to use the gimmick and how to make the switch happen, which is really, I mean, the switch is completely invisible and really, really clever. So only drawback with all of this, I'm going to say it right now, is it makes a fair bit of noise. And so the way to cover that, and they run through different ways of covering it, is to do it nonchalantly and do it quite roughly. If you want to do a really silent sort of strokely takeout of the bill or the billet or whatever it is, to make the switch, you're gonna have a little bit of an issue. You want basically to cover the noise, you want to be putting it down on the table or have it on the table and drop something on top of the ashtray to cover the noise, and then the noise sort of coalesces in. It makes sense that there's a noise because you sort of dropped something on it and you've kind of made it make a noise. So the real noise covers the false noise, essentially. And that is the only issue. They run through, so the tutorial is 2 hours long. There's something like 10, 12, possibly even more different routines. And what is really nice is there's a way of doing it so cleanly with your hands. You can just have the gimmick part of the switch cup in your hand and just pull it out, or drop it on the table like so if you want to, or you can have it you can use a different object. So if, for example, you wanted to change a card, you'd have a deck of cards out and you'd have a folded card in the ashtray. You then just put the card case on top of the ashtray and then you've done the switch. Great if you've got our new polymer notes, because they're going to bounce around. You've got a reason for putting your wallet on top to stop it from springing open, or whatever, or getting a glimpse, whatever it might be, and you can put your wallet on top and that will make the switch. The routines are just so diverse, and it is just visually impossible to see the switch. Audibly, possibly, but visibly, no. And on the noise point of view, actually, they come up with a very nice idea of having this on the top of an upturned wine glass, which is great visually if you're doing it for parlour, and it also justifies a lot of actions and a lot of the noise as well. So they are aware that it makes a noise. They teach how to get around it. It's only an issue really if you're paranoid about it. So for the mentalists amongst you, you can do predictions, billet switches, confabulation routines. If you're a card worker, you've got corner switches, you've got transformations, you've got transpositions as well. You could have one card folded up in here, another card lost in the deck, and they switch places. You've really just got to think a little bit outside the box, and you'll be doing some really original miracles with this thing. It's very similar to all of those sort of clear boxes, the clarity box, and so on. Apart from the fact this is much, much easier to customize instantly. There's no faffing around, there's no trimming anything, there's no gluing anything in order to customize it. You just don't, well, you don't need to customize it. It sort of works on its own. So you can switch anything. You can vary what you switch really, really quickly. And I like the fact that it's open. I like the fact it hasn't got a lid and it's not a sort of tippy thing. I think the fact that whatever's being switched is always out in the open, in clear view, in open air, really does add something to the illusion, to the trick, and to the impossibility. I really, really like it. It's really, really clever. It is an ashtray. It has got tobacco written on it. They're not so popular over here. They might be more popular in Europe still. But it's still just something to hold something in, to keep it in place. There's a very logical reason for why you want to put something in. You don't want it to blow away. You don't want to knock it off. You want to isolate it. You can justify how this is in play very easily. And I think it's well worth doing. It just opens up very easily very many opportunities for anything that requires a very bold open switch. It's really, really good. It's really good. It is very well made. It's very strong. It's not 3D printed. It's obviously injection molded, and it's great. The gimmick is super simple because it's larger, so you can switch anything the size of this base. The actual if you want to palm the gimmick, that's a bit of, I've got quite small hands. It's a bit of a stretch for me. But then again, I would just use it. I would load it by putting something on top. It makes a lot more sense to me, and it covers the noise better in my book. It's a shame about the noise. I just wonder whether there was something I could have done about that. Maybe had the bottom a little bit softer. I guess that wasn't possible. But despite all of that, it is just really good. If you're doing a parlour show or walk around, it is a brilliant way of switching anything that you like. And that is Switch Cup by Jérôme, Sauloup and Magic Dream. And now it's the turn of Michael Breggar, Kmart Magic and Psy Roller. This is one of those tricks that I really, really enjoy performing because there's very, very little for you to do. You introduce these dice. They're sort of Dungeon and Dragon dice, so you have of different sides, which is a really nice idea. So you have a 3-sided one, 6-sided, and a 10-sided one, and you have a deck shuffled if you want. It doesn't really matter. You can show all of the cards are normal. It's a normal deck of cards. You place down a card and you ask someone to roll one of the dice. They put that dice on top of the card. You put down another card. They roll another dice, or all of them, and choose which one they want to put on each card until you've done all 4 cards. You then show that you then make a note of the numbers they've rolled. You turn over the cards and they match the numbers. It is a really baffling routine. For the lay person, it's a lot of fun rolling dice rather than just making them think of a number or choose a card. I think it's just more entertaining. I do like, I've said it before, I like proppy magic. I feel the idea of propless mentalism is possibly the dullest thing you can do. If you can bring in an interesting prop just to make it more exciting, then you really should. And this is great. Let me show you what you get. So you get 2 card gimmicks. So if you wanted to use a red deck or a blue deck, you can. And obviously they are bicycle rider back. Okay, which is everyone uses, obviously. And you also get the dice in this nice little bag. There you are, the 4 dice. You might have to explain how the triangle one works, because it's actually the number at the top of the pyramid that counts as their number. And that's it. And then you get all of the tutorial and the teaching by Liam Monte. Liam teaches it really well. If you've ever watched anything that Liam's taught, he is very good at running through everything, not in a patronizing way, but just covering everything, even the basics, all the way up. And there's very little sort of card sleights in it at all. Basically, you've just got to hold a finger break and you can do this trick. It is very similar, I would say probably based on the Muldoon match by Paul Gordon from his book Gold Dust. That didn't use the dice. You just had someone naming cards and you'd pull out their card and then it would match the mate. And Liam gives a very good reason as to why this routine is sort of more entertaining and makes more sense and is perhaps easier to follow than Paul's. Some of those points I think do resonate and makes a lot of sense. I do love using the dice, but I do think the Muldoon match is just a really good card trick as well, and it's well worth knowing and learning. The dice definitely do add a little bit of fun to the whole thing, and because they're different shapes as well and they're interesting dice and they're different colours, I think it does make it a little bit more fun. It makes it feel more random somehow and less like a card trick than Muldoon match, which is definitely 100% cards. It feels more like a mentalism trick or a prediction trick. There is a slight weak point within the routine where instead of just sliding the dice off and turning them over, you have to sort of return them to the top of the deck very briefly. But as Liam shows, that can be done really cleanly and without any suspicion. So I wouldn't worry about that too much. It is part of the method. It does have to be done. But you know, it is super clean. It's a great trick for the hobbyist, the friends and family. You could have 4 people. They could each roll a dice. So you can involve everyone around your dining table. It's a good, fun, easy to do trick. The price point is perfect. It is Psy Roller by Michael Breggar. And now it's CREDiTKA by Artifex. This is by no means new, but it's proved very popular at Monster. A lot of people buy more than one because you get different values. It is a credit card prediction routine. For the routine, you show someone your credit card and you ask them to pick one of the numbers that they see on the long number, just one of the numbers, one of the digits, and you then have them select a card. That card gets lost in the deck. They tell you the number of that they were thinking of. You deal down to that number and it shows, and it turns out to be the card that they selected. They then look at the credit card that they've been holding, and across the top it says the name of their card. For some reason, I can't explain it, this gets amazing reactions. I mean, it's not that surprising it gets amazing reactions. So it's just amazing because for the little work that you do, that's what it is. It's the bang for your buck. For the amount of effort or that you put in, you just blow people away. It's extraordinary. I wouldn't have believed it. I thought perhaps maybe I got lucky when I performed it, but having spoken to some of the people and some of the feedback I've got from people who've bought it on Monster, they absolutely love it, and that's why they're buying more than one to get extra reveals, so that they can perform it more than once, around a party, and people aren't going to be saying it's the same card. These are the credit cards. They look fine. They are above real. They're above suspicion. People are going to think it's a credit card. No one's going to look that closely. They don't know what's coming. They've got no reason to suspect these at all. Obviously, you only show them one at a time. But this is the one that's got the numbers on the back. You can sign it. They do have hologram stickers as well included in the package if you can stick those on. And then you've got this one. Let me see if I can get a close up, but I'm not sure if you can see it, but it says long, instead of having the long number, it now says your card is the Two of Hearts. And this is sort of placed in the hand pretty much from the start. Once they've selected their card, they get to put this in their hand. You can get it face down, you can have it face up. As they say, having performed it thousands of times, no one's looking at that number from an angle. You can't really tell whether it's letters or numbers anyway. So it doesn't matter which way up they hold it in their hand. And really, to perform the routine, you need to be able to do a force the card that matches your revelation. And that gets taught as well. They teach a couple of ways of doing that. Very, very simple, obvious ways of doing it. Anyone with any basic card skills can do it. And also, you have to be able to switch the cards, these credit cards, and they do that simply by doing it. They use JOL Plus Wallet from PropDog because that's got a nice little way of holding out something underneath it, but you can switch it underneath. Basically, they perform a switch underneath anything. That could be a box of cards, it can be a wallet. A wallet makes sense because you're using credit cards, obviously, and you've just taken a credit card out. But it can be a box of cards because you're performing a card trick or anything to hand. And if your wallet, if you're just using a standard wallet and it doesn't have the JOL feature, then I would suggest, you could even use some sticky tape to secure it, or you can just hold it there in the palm of your hand, covered by the wallet itself. It is really easy to do. It's really, really powerful. There is a displacement, obviously. So when they've chosen a number from here, there is a displacement to get that number at the right location. So it's a sort of card at any number routine to start off with, and you need to be able to shift a few cards. Again, they teach that nice and clearly. That's one method. Personally, I would start with having it as the fifth card because that is the smallest number on here, and then you have to shift slightly less cards or none, possibly. So you're just giving yourself the ability to maybe avoid that step, making it even cleaner. It blows people away for the amount of work. It's really easy. This, obviously, just keep these in your wallet and you're ready to go at any time. So it's that everyday carry phrase again, isn't it? But you do need to be carrying a deck of cards, I suppose. So perhaps it's not perfect for that. But, in the same way that overdraft would be. It's simple, clean, good, well plotted, well structured magic trick that gets great reactions. And the surprise that number they've seen at the start of the trick, they've asked them, they've concentrated to find a single digit from the card previously. When that number has changed into that thing, it does blow them away. It is a big shock, and they love it and they freak out. It's $24.99. I think they do say that the idea of having a prediction on the card was Jeff Price's originally. Like I say, it does come in different values. They arrive at me in a sort of a random fashion. But just email me if you've got one already and you want a different value. Just email and I will send whichever value that's different. It is CREDiTKA by Artifex. And last but not least, we have 3 Cards Monte Stand by Jeki Yu. Jeki Yu is massive at the moment with all of his Instagram videos. This is his first trick, 01. 02 has just come out, which is his chop cup egg routine, which should be arriving shortly at Monster. He's got 2 digits here, so I'm guessing he's at least going to go up to 10 at some point. This is the first one. It's been in stock for a while. I haven't reviewed it, so I thought I would. It's a simple sort of 2-phase skin erase routine. You show the 3 cards, you put them each in their own little stand, you mix the stands up, and they fail to find the ace. You then pick them up, and then you then repeat it, isolating one of the cards. So they're only really following 2 that are getting mixed up. And then lo and behold, the one that was isolated turns out to be the ace. It's a great routine. I do feel that it is very much limited to social media. That's the only thing I've got going with it. Let me just show you. These are the gaffs. I say the gaffs, these are the cards. They are bicycle cards. I've only got it in red, and that's one of the non-gaffed cards, obviously. And you've got the stands. The stands are 3D printed, and yeah, they're fine. They do their job. This is the ungimmicked one. So the stands are the gimmicks that hide the secret of skin erases, as it were, and make it very clean when you show them around. So the big difference between this and Skinner's Aces, I suppose, is that they do, in theory, get to see all 3 cards at the same time, which does make it really nice. It does. I mean, it is definitely a very great way of doing Skinner's Aces if you're Parlour or Instagram or social media. I think a little thing's been missed here. I think these should be bigger. If they were bigger and the cards were bigger, then it would become more of a stage effect. That would make more sense to me, and as to why you're doing it like this. Because even Parlour, even when you're doing this Parlour, you can lift the cards up and show them and let everyone see them. So it's not really necessary for Parlour. It is good. It is brilliant for social media, but it's a shame they're not bigger, because then it would be good for stage, and that seems to be, for me, more what I would use it for, because this isn't that cheap. So the thing, I've forgotten how much it is, it'll come up. The thing about it is that if you're only using it for, as far as I'm concerned, social media is a one-take thing. I'm not a social media expert, so you'd only use it the once. So I would just have liked it to have been a stage effect, twice as big, jumbo cards, and then there'd be people carrying it around. It was still packed so small. It would be great. It would be a really nice, pack small, plays big stage effect that you get multiple uses from your money. It is a really, really clever idea. The stands work a treat. The handling is really clean and justified. It's a very, very sweet thing for social media. The teaching is really great, really clear. It is self-working in its entirety, and because of how the stands are, obviously you've got a prompt as to which card to put where, so you can't really get that wrong. You can get a little bit muddled with Skinner's Aces if you're interrupted and you forget where you are in your routine, perhaps. So it's very easy to do. It's 3 Cards Monte Stand by Jeki Yu. I think we should have a competition this week, and I am going to give away 3 Cards Monte Stand. On Tuesday, I'm going to put a video up on Instagram of me performing 3 Cards Monte Stand, and all you have to do is to guess how many likes that video is going to get by Friday night. So let me know. Put them in the comments. I've got no idea. I can't even remember how many followers I've got on Instagram. I think it's probably about 200 followers, but you can see that for yourself and you can guess relative to that, or whether or not it's just such a good trick that I will get lots of likes despite having not very many followers. So there you go. And I will send you 3 Cards Monte Stand to the person who gets the closest. And that's it for the show, I'm afraid. Yes, it's another week gone, But I will be back next week. It is the London Magic Convention tomorrow. I hope if you're there, come and say hello. It's only the second convention I've done as Monster Magic, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's a really sweet, small, quite personal convention with a brilliant gala show as well. It's well worth going. I think tickets are still available at londonmagicconvention.com. So until next week, get out there, have some fun, cheer up some people with the best hobby in the world. Bye bye.